Okay. Hello and welcome, Joey. Thank you for being here.
Hello. This is fun. I'm excited.
Yay, I'm excited too. Okay, so how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Just, experiencing life with the quarantine going on. But other
Yeah,
than that, things are pretty.
What is that like? Like, how has that changed your, I don't know, daily life?
So I am a henna artist and also a visual artist. So my henna appointments and things like that have stopped for the time being, to help keep things from spreading. But I have been able to do a lot more artwork. So
Cool.
I have stayed busy and been able to do a lot of projects that I've had in my mind. So which has been nice.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like there are several responses to this situation, obviously, but the one that is, I don't know, kind of the most hopeful and encouraging to me is all the stories I'm hearing of people who are like shifting, like, oh, I can't do that anymore, but I can do this instead. Like I heard a story of a local restaurant. Now I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but it was something on Mass Ave that like I think had just recently opened, even like right before this all hit. And so they shifted and basically just like became a grocery store because they were just like, well, we have we have the link to the wholesaler to get all of the food that we normally would use to create the restaurant dishes. But since we can't really tentatively do that anymore, we'll just open our doors as a grocery store and just resell the raw food, basically.
I think that I've heard that same thing, except of a place in Fountain Square.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like selling the different products and the different produce and things like that. I wonder if I was told it was Fountain Square, but maybe it's messed up. Maybe it's the same place.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe a couple. I mean, it's a brilliant idea. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few restaurants, not just in Indianapolis, but like all over the place that are doing that. But yeah, no, I thought it was a very cool thing that they like sat down and were like, okay, well, we can't do what we were going to do, but like, what are the resources that we have, and how can we keep our employees basically in jobs?
Right.
And so yeah, they just kind of like repurposed it. So that, I think,
yeah,
that's really cool. So how are you repurposing your time? Like, what kind of projects are you focusing on?
Well, I have had a lot of projects that I've been wanting to get my hands on to start working on for a long time. Like, for instance, I'll show you. I have this is a pot I found at Goodwill. Right now, I think I put little like words of wisdom to myself in there. There's a piece of paper in there, but something like that. And I want to focus on painting that. I've also had little tiny cups that a friend gave me that I'm going to turn into little like succulent pots. So kind of cute little ideas that I've been wanting to try that could potentially be an avenue of business for me in the future. And just like taking this time now to work on those. I was also supposed to have a really big art show in a couple of months.
I know.
I don't know if that's
still on?
Or not.
Okay. Still unclear?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get in contact with them, but I have been working on pieces for that show. So if it happens, then I will be prepared. But if it doesn't, then I will have more art to show in the future, or
as soon as things open again, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that the same thing as your anniversary party that you were going to do, or was that different? Are they two separate things?
Different.
Okay.
Yeah, different. And I believe I'm going to have to reschedule that. I don't know when in the future I would have it, but at this point it was for like the first week in May, and things are shut down until the end of April. So it kind of seems
Like,
difficult to plan and
probably
have.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to contact them.
Yeah. We, my friend Kay, who's the writer, she and Adam at the playground where that same venue, they have been planning a like stories and soundtracks, I think is what they call it. So it's like live music performance plus live readings by writers. And so that has been kind of in the works for several months. And that was originally planned for the end of April. And then we have pushed it back to the end of May. And I think are kind of hoping that by then things will be getting back to normal. But like, it's so impossible to even guess, like, because everything's changing so fast.
Yeah, it's so unpredictable at this point, and who knows if by the end of April things will be settled or if we will extend even further the restrictions. But
exactly.
So it's so hard to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're just kind of, it's like, well, this is tentatively rescheduled for the end of May. We'll see what May looks like in another month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that you are finally taking the time to work on those projects that you were wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah, and of course, like, there's just an abundance of free time right now, along with like as many henna appointments that I was doing that I'm not doing now, different events that I was doing that I'm now not doing. So there's just so much time to be able to, you know, take the time to work on something that I haven't had a chance to, and then also continue to do the larger pieces that I've wanted to do or need to do for different shows and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been the bright side of things, you know, as much as there can be a bright side right now. So
right. Yeah, because remind me, how long have you been doing the business? Is it everything 1 year, or were you doing part of it for longer?
So I have been full-time self-employed doing henna and art for 1 year. Okay. And I've been doing henna for about 8 years now. I officially opened my business in 2017, but I was doing little things here and there before that. Okay. So it's been a couple years in the works.
And was it a year ago that you really started focusing on the artwork as well, or was that even earlier?
I started doing artwork in 2017 as well. I had my first art show in 2018, but the art really, I started focusing more and more on that, especially since I became full-time.
Cool. Oh man. Yeah. So like, how are you doing? I don't know, emotionally, psychologically? Are you enjoying the time stuck inside, or are you going stir crazy?
I would say a little bit of both. There are definitely days where I feel like this itch to go and see people, but I'm keeping myself from doing that. And I live with my boyfriend, so we see each other and we take our dogs for walks and we do some activities. So it's I've, for the most part, I've been pretty good with the isolation. Yeah.
And you guys are in a house, right?
Yeah. So this morning I went to the gas station and got some gas for my lawnmower, and I mowed the grass today.
Like, just out of boredom, or?
Well, it really needed to be done. We've had so much rain, so it's been a couple weeks, but it needed to be done. And then also to get, like, I don't know, some physical activity, like kind of like a workout. We have a lot of grass, so we needed to do that. And then, so every day I've been making myself do something, like organize a room, or like today it was mow the grass. Tomorrow it might be weed whack around everything in the yard, stuff like that.
Yeah, the edges.
It's so silly that's like something to look forward to right now.
Right. But hey, we gotta do it. And like, I am finding it interesting, this like because obviously everything is so crazy right now and it's weird and wild and unprecedented, and no one really knows what the heck is going on. But I do find it very interesting that a lot of us are kind of taking this time of like, okay, I have time. Like, I've been so busy for so many years, and like I normally don't get to clean out the closet in the spring or you know, really take time and enjoy mowing the grass, that sort of stuff. So I kind of think it's cool that we are now able to do that. I don't know if able is exactly the right word, but like there's an opportunity there, I feel like, for like another positive spin.
Oh yeah.
Just the idea of like, you know what, maybe we have all been way too freaking busy for so long, and like maybe it will be nice to just kind of take it a little bit easier. I saw a Facebook post this morning from another artist friend of mine that was kind of along the same lines. He was just like, you know what, I'm sick of being like forcing myself to stay so productive. Like I made a to-do list this morning. I looked at it and then I was just like, you know what? Like I want to just enjoy the sunshine and spend time with my wife and my baby. Like, and you know, what's wrong with that? Because like we all have a month at minimum before things really can go back to normal. So like, what is the rush? And like obviously not everyone is able to do that, because some people are in positions where they have to still be working, or I mean like anyone who works in a hospital, grocery stores, the essential business people. But I feel like there's sort of like an opportunity for a mindset shift for the rest of us, where it's just like, well, you could look at this as you're stuck inside, you're being forced, whatever. Or you could look at it as like, this is a really good opportunity to do what we're supposed to do every year and kind of like slow down and rest a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because while it is like, you know, we're a little worried about what's happening in the world,
Right.
it forces us to stop and like look at things differently, like you just said. It's been great for me. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say it's been great for me because I have, like you said, like you have been so busy for so many years, and you just keep going and keep going, and like you have to be productive all the time. And so without doing henna, I've had all this open time to really reflect on what I want to do and where I want to go with my business and the different goals I have. And like, I don't know, just been able to take a step back and really breathe. I think that's been very helpful. Yeah.
I'm hoping, again, like, not that we wish for something like this, but given that it's here,
right.
I would like to like try and take a positive or optimistic spin on it. And what I'm hoping is that a lot of people will do that, and like it's kind of forcing us to, like you said, reevaluate like what is actually important to you. And like I think we can do that as individuals, and also as like a collective, like society. Like what is important to us as a society, and hopefully it will, like on the other side of this, we will have been able to improve. And I guess that's my supremely optimistic take on all of this, or like hope for all of this. And like I think it's happening, like you said. That's what you're doing, that's what I'm doing, that's what I know plenty of people are doing. And lots of people are getting a chance, like you said, to really pull out like, oh, I've been thinking about doing this art project for years and I just never could find the time, or I've been thinking about writing a book for years and I never had the time. Like I'm seeing all kinds of people on Instagram and social media talking about how they're just like, you know what, I'm going to take this time and actually finally work on that thing that I have really been like, it's like the passion project, which for some reason is always the thing that we put on the shelf.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, there are no more excuses. You're not allowed to go anywhere. You're not allowed to do anything other than grocery shop and like go for walks, which you should absolutely still be doing. But, you know, aside from that, if you're not able to really work from home and still do business more or less as usual, and even if you're not, like, or like even if you can work from home, I feel like everyone is sort of reevaluating how much time is in a day, I think. Like, okay, say you still are you're able to work from home and go completely remote. So you're still on the clock from 8 to 5, but then like you don't have any travel time, you don't have any after work activities, like you've got the whole evening. And like, I think in some ways people are also realizing that like, oh no, I can do whatever I want with this free time. Like work is actually only a part of the day. Maybe, I don't know if that's actually accurate or not.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah, I think
one of the other things that I've noticed or been thinking of.
Go ahead.
Sorry. One of the things I'm thinking about a lot is how much this is positively impacting the environment, because so many less people are out on the roads and traveling and all of those things. So I think about that a lot.
Yeah, my roommate found a meme this morning on, I think it was Twitter, and it was like everyone in 2017, oh, we'll save the world, or we'll save the environment next year. And everyone in 2018, oh, we'll save the environment next year. Everyone in 2019, oh, we'll save the environment next year. And then in 2020, coronavirus was just like, nope, it's time. Everyone go inside. You're done. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, a part of me wonders, is it sort of true also? Like, I almost think there's some sort of natural order to things in the world where it's just like, we reached a point at which it was just like, no, this is untenable. Everything needs to stop. Everyone needs to reevaluate and like figure out what's actually important and only focus on that. And it's almost like Mother Nature is just like forcing that thing that, again, I feel like everyone talks about it, like New Year's resolutions and monthly resolutions and goals, and like we're a society very focused on that and like talking about that, but I sometimes wonder how much we actually do it. And this really kind of feels like an opportunity. If we see it as an opportunity, then it's definitely an opportunity where like the natural world or Mother Nature, or if you believe in spirituality, maybe some other being was just like, nope, stop. Like, this is happening now. Deal with it.
Yeah. I definitely feel that force, almost like the earth was like, nope, now it's time. You guys need to realize how much of an impact you do have on me, as earth. And this is the perfect time, because places that, I'm sure you've seen the headlines about the dolphins coming closer to shore now because the water's clearer and all these things. So I haven't done too much research into it, but I know it's definitely doing a great impact on the earth.
Well, it has to be. I mean, there were like reports and projections and stuff about how if we really want to change things, we have to do almost a full stop of like airplane travel and car travel and all of that. And it's just like, we got that as a side effect of all of this coronavirus stuff. Like, flights are pretty much canceled. No one's out on the streets. Like, not no one, some people still are, obviously, but the amount, I mean, even what was it? Would have been like 2.5 weeks ago now. because I've been in full lockdown quarantine for the last 2 weeks, because my roommate had like, it might have just been a cold, honestly. Like, it wasn't severe, it wasn't anything, but like no one's taking any chances. So we were just like, well, that might be coronavirus. We'll just lock down. But
Yeah.
before that, the last time I was actually out on the roads was still the week that like the bars and restaurants were starting to close. And even then it was like, I just happened to be coming home at rush hour, like in the 5 o'clock traffic, and 5 o'clock traffic in Indianapolis is normally stupid. Like, I don't know how often you're out and about at that time, but I try not to be because it's so stupid. And it was crazy. Like that week, when I was coming home at 5 o'clock, it was just like, there are some people on the road still, but compared to what a 5 o'clock work day traffic normally is, this is insane. And so it's just like, if that's what the peak is, then all the other times have got to be significantly less. And so like, yeah, I wonder what good that is actually doing as this really weird like side effect. I don't know. It's like, I feel like a lot of people in society have sort of been calling for these things for a long time, like the environmental I don't know, activism. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but just like more awareness, more action taken to help the environment, those sorts of things. And it's just like, well, we aren't doing it for that reason, but we're getting the same result anyway.
Right.
And it's this weird sort of like, I don't know, bonus side effect, something. I don't know. It's
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So
Sorry. Okay. There we go.
So is Trey also working from home? Is he able to work from home?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, he is able to work from home, and he has been for the last 2-ish weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
So we've both been home most of the time now.
Yeah.
I do most of the shopping if we have to do any grocery shopping or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a weird trip now, but
yeah,
like going to the grocery store and, kind of be not, not being suspicious of people, but having to keep, your distance and stuff, and interesting.
Right.
But yeah, he's been able to work from home, and he works remotely sometimes anyway, so this hasn't really been a huge change for him, except for now he's fully just working from home.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember when he left last time, like the last time he left the house.
yeah that's kind of like that's weirdly kind of been my experience too, a little bit, because I've been working pretty much full-time for myself since November, and I still like go out because I'm super extroverted. So like, I'll go to a coffee shop and work, or I'll go to a co-working space and work, or I'll go to a friend's house and just both of us sit and work. And that has entirely stopped. And that has also been sort of a weird adjustment. I'm like I'm extroverted, but only barely. Like I'm an extroverted introvert, or however you say that.
Right.
And like, I'm definitely extroverted. I definitely get my energy from other people, from conversations and seeing people and all of that. But there's also definitely a part of me that's totally happy to just not leave the house for 2 weeks. And so it's been a weird sort of dichotomy of both of those parts, where part of me is just like, this is amazing. And then the other part of me is just like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. And just, I've started so I'm in an apartment, which is a little different from a house because we have no outside really. Um, and but there's this parking lot that's kind of like right behind my apartment building, that it's the parking lot for like a school that's nearby. But it's totally empty now because like no one is ever using it because no one's going to the place that it's intended for. So I have started like just going out and doing just like walking around that parking lot for like an hour every day because I just need to get outside and like move around and get the fresh air.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, it's so funny, like walking in my neighborhood. I have 2 dogs, so walking, we walk them as much as we can. And it's been so funny how many people are actually out walking now, like by themselves or with whoever they live with or with a dog or you know, it's so funny. Riding their bikes, doing things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's another weird thing where like, at least in my experience, it's almost like with everything canceled, because I've been trying to get in better shape and just kind of be more active and do basically like a regular practice of just walking around outside for an hour every day is like good for you mentally and psychologically and emotionally and obviously physically. And so it's one of those things that has been on my like to-do list that I've wanted to start implementing as a habit for a long time, but it's just kind of like with everything else, I just never got around to it because I just was so overwhelmed with, you know, all of the everything. And now that it's just like, oh no, almost everything else is no longer an option. It's not anything you have to think about or worry about or whatever. Like, I like now for the first time, I'm just like actually going out almost every day and walking for an hour or more. And it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
so
mean,
nice.
it helps too that we are now getting nicer weather, because if this had happened, you know, 2 months ago in January when it was really cold and crappy, probably would have been a different story. I think I probably would have still reached a breaking point of like, okay, I just have to get out of this apartment. I don't care that it's 10 degrees outside. I will bundle up and I will go outside just to be outside. But I don't think I would be doing it as frequently because I'm so cold averse. So I'm I guess grateful that this is happening now rather than in the winter.
Right. Yeah, I'm so thankful that it's beautiful out this week, you know. We've had some really nice weather here in Indiana. You never know what you get, but it's been really nice.
Especially in April.
Yeah. And I know that it'll go back and forth a little bit, you know. One week's great, the next week's super rainy or things like that, but it's so nice to have this nice weather right now.
Oh yeah.
Have you had many, I don't know, do you do many events? Like, do you have a lot that have been rescheduled or postponed or anything like that?
Most of the event type things that I have been doing are like networking type events. And so all of those, they're either postponed or just canceled or have shifted online. Like I'm doing a surprising number of Zoom calls like every day. And so it's a shift, but I was not doing that many events like in terms of direct income. Like I have I was doing the stories and soundtracks thing that got rescheduled for the end of May. And then I have just kind of just other project things that do require us to get together in person that have been rescheduled, like the Tell City audiobook recording. We were supposed to do the final weekend of recording that in May. And I don't know if there is an official word yet. I think that's another one where it's kind of just like, we'll just have to see what things are like in May. Like maybe we will still be able to do it, but kind of everyone is aware of the fact that it might have to get pushed back another month or 2 months or however many months. So kind of up in the air, but tentatively scheduled. But yeah, no, it's not, for as much as I was like out and about, not very much of it was anything specifically tied to like my direct income or work. I did, very interestingly, I was doing like our brainstorming session with Carmen actually, and she and I were kind of coming up with ways that I could start doing in-person events for like the things to do with like the Starlight Journal and the creativity prompts and stuff that are in that and the collective. We were kind of brainstorming on how could I turn that into in-person events, and like what businesses could I team up with and like to host the events. And so we had a whole kind of brainstorm list there. And then like a week later, everything shut down. It was like, well, all right, that's on pause. But I actually, I'm kind of just I'm still using sort of the basic idea for what I was going to do. And I'm going to try to start just doing those online instead, like just in Zoom meetings and stuff. So I think I'm still going to try and work it in, just in a different way.
Yeah, there was this year, there were so many things. I feel like a lot of people were like, this is the year that I'm going to do as many of this kind of events or whatever as I can. And then it's a full stop.
Yes.
You either need, I guess it's telling us either we need to prepare more, like we weren't ready. I don't know. Obviously not that, but like that I was throwing myself like an art anniversary party for doing my business for a full year, fully, well, I can't talk, self-employed and that kind of thing. And so I was planning this whole thing. It was going to be so cool. It will be cool when it finally can happen. And I'm really excited about it still. I'm optimistic that it will still happen, especially like within 2020. But it's just a matter of when. So there's, that, and a lot of what I do is in person, like doing henna. It's at an event. I've had several events cancel, and a lot of them it's undetermined if they will still happen. So it's interesting. And then with art shows, there were a lot of art shows I was going to do too, and a few of them have been canceled. Some of them are still like on the fence if they will happen or not. But I've really been focusing on like making sure I'm posting things on like my shop on Etsy and things like that. Just like all the things that you can do without having to go anywhere. And something that I'm working on right now is figuring out a way I can do a virtual gallery. So I'm putting those ideas together right now.
I feel like there have got to be other visual artists also kind of like working on that same problem, because like the music industry I feel like did a very good job of like quickly switching to online. Like I had like within a week of everything kind of getting canceled and shut down, I feel like I was hearing stories of people who were just like, oh, well, I had tickets to this concert, but they're just doing it as a live stream now. And so like, I feel like those artists did a very good job of sort of like immediately switching. And like I think it also, the mediums just kind of lend themselves well to each other. Whereas with visual art, I feel like it's a little bit trickier, because how do you have a gallery show experience but from your living room online? But I also feel like there's got to be other artists and galleries are public spaces that are businesses that are now shut down. So surely at least some of them are also kind of working on that problem of,
Yeah.
how do we overcome this challenge? These are the parameters. And like,
Mm-hmm.
luckily artists are kind of the people already prone to take on those creative challenges, I think, in some ways, because that is a lot of what making art is very often. It's like, okay, here are the parameters, here's the challenge. How do you use your creativity and come up with a solution? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think I saw articles that like the Met Gallery in New York and the Louvre also were doing like virtual tours,
Mm-hmm.
or like just releasing their collections as like online web pages, basically. Obviously that's not the same thing, and
Right.
it's got to be very different for smaller galleries and individual artists, because like there's a big difference in terms of just following for like smaller, like an Indianapolis art gallery compared to the Louvre.
Right. Yeah, I've been thinking about it and thinking of how I could do something like that, because I've worked a lot on my website too, like making sure everything,
Same.
and I'm working on a lot of different things. Yeah. And thinking about doing like a virtual art gallery, I'm like, okay, well, I only have so much wall space. If I wanted to like have it all, put up and then take a video and go around it, or I could make something where it's like a image with all of my pieces, and maybe you could zoom in. I don't know. So
that would be cool.
Because I don't know how much wall space I have for how many pieces I have. And then so I'm working on some different options in that regard. So hopefully, I also been thinking, I'll finish that thought first. Hopefully I will have something figured. Sorry, I'm going everywhere.
That's fine.
Hopefully I'll have that figured out soon. Maybe by next week, maybe by the end of next week. I'm not sure. And the other thing, what was it? I'm sorry, it's gone. No, the other thing is like doing a Facebook Live, or like just like some kind of live, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, and work on artwork, and so people can like sit with me and watch me make a piece or work on a piece, and then ask questions if they have it. That's something I've been toying with too. For me, my artwork requires a lot of concentration, and I kind of get in the zone, and I'm sure a lot of other artists do that too. So the idea of doing a live video of me working on a piece kind of worries me, with my trying to like do the piece and also reply, because it would be like that disconnect. So that's something I've been thinking about. I'll probably try it during the quarantine and see how it goes. Just because I've never done something like that.
Yeah, I think you should try it. I think you could maybe sort of set it up in the sense of like tell people at the beginning, like, okay, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna be in the zone for quite a while, but at the end, like in the last 10 minutes or whatever it is, then I will go through and like respond to all of the questions that come in. Like, I don't know, I feel like that's pretty reasonable. That way you don't have to kind of jump in and out of your creative flow, but you can still do the Q&A piece.
Yeah.
That would be super cool.
I think that sounds good. Yeah. And in the past, I've even thought about like having a Twitch account. I don't know if you're familiar with Twitch.
It's usually, heard of it.
It's usually like, it's dominated, I think, by gaming. But it's a platform that I could use. I have an account for my business, just because I was like, oh, I'm going to try this. Maybe that's something I'll do with all this extra time, but have a Twitch account where people can like get on, and all of my videos would be saved there. And so people can go back and watch something that I've done and hear the questions that people ask me. So that's something I've considered too. Just have like an area, and that could also be like a saved video that I upload to YouTube or something. So I'm not locked into one particular platform, but
and then you could even make like take shorter clips of it and post on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds cool.
Yeah. It's kind of, again, it's like this weird sort of, obviously this isn't a great situation, but I'm also very optimistic because I feel like people are getting really inventive and creative and like actually solving that problem of, okay, how, like, first of all, now that I have the time to think about it, what do I most want to actually be doing? And then second of all, given the fact that all I can do is post things online, like how can I make this work and like get it out there and that sort of thing. So I don't know, it's kind of exciting. It's a weird, very weird timing thing also for me because I have been planning the spring 2020 Starlight Emporium magazine launch for several months now. And the magazine idea itself is something that I had for like 8 years. And then finally at the beginning of January this year, I was just like, you know what? I'm finally going to make that happen this year. And then, you know, by the time it was actually the week it was coming out, everyone was in quarantine and had nothing to do. And it was just like, oh, suddenly this thing that I have wanted to do for 8 years and then very weirdly just had, I don't know, like it just kept sort of nudging at me in my head of like, oh, I need to be working on that. Oh, I need to be working on that. And it was just, and then it wound up launching and releasing like at exactly the time where suddenly everyone is looking for entertainment, which is the arts, online, like on Zoom video calls. And also I feel like in some weird sense, because the magazine is a printed magazine, like it has a digital option too, but I always wanted it to be print because I've always been like a huge book nerd and a big like, yes, technology is great, but also physical books and magazines and stuff are always my preference. And a lot of people, as I have sort of talked about this over the years, are just like, yeah, but no one really reads print magazines anymore, and like physical books are dying and blah, blah, blah. Which I think is not true. Like, I think I saw an article that in 2019, the sales of like physical printed books was way up. So that's awesome. But then like here we are now and everyone is forced to be doing everything online. And I feel like in some sense that's almost going to be a better catalyst, selling point, argument, something for my printed magazine, where it's just like, oh, are you sick of looking at your computer screen all day, every day? Get this magazine and like experience some artwork actually offline. And so, yeah, it's this weird, like, I definitely did not plan this at all because I've been planning it for so long, but the coincidence of like what's happening in the world at the time that this print magazine to inspire wonder just happened to be launching is a little bit weird. But then it's also a little bit weird to be excited about. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that you finally got the chance to work on it and release it, because it looks awesome. And I haven't gone all the way through it. I'm taking my time, but it's like going through it and seeing like the prompts and everything in the back. I think that's so cool. And I really do agree with the fact that like people are tired of looking at their screen all day, because I am tired of looking at my screen all day and being on the like working on your website, working on you know, putting it all together and things like that. And I'm also doing coloring pages, which take me a little while to make, especially on the computer. And so I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, man, I gotta get away from this. And so I've really started to really appreciate looking at like the magazine or my planner that isn't electronic or anything like that. So I definitely, and with, I know you have like your journal as well. And so those are all ways that people can, you know, keep up with things or be connected in some way without looking at a screen. Because
Yes,
I have been, even being in my computer, like where my computer is right now, it's a desktop, so it's stationary, but being in that room and looking at the computer and doing those things have been like really making my head hurt lately. So I've been getting out more, going outside, walking my dogs, like kind of thing. So I definitely fully support that message.
Yeah, well, it's this another weird sort of dichotomy where, like, on the one hand, it's amazing that we have the technology that we have the ability. Like, think of how many more people would be completely out of work if the internet and the infrastructure online didn't exist already, because, like,
right,
we wouldn't have been able to make that shift. And so many people who are now able to just work from home, like, yes, it's a transition, and for some people it's a rough transition, but it's still way better than if, like, this wasn't an option at all, because then they would also just be out of work. But then on the other hand, it's just like, by the end of the day, everyone is so sick of, like, the Zoom call getting interrupted, or your cat jumping in on your laptop. Like, everyone is kind of, I feel like, by the end of the day, even though we're really grateful to have the technology, kind of sick of the technology. And then, exactly like you said, it's like people are going outside more and doing probably reading more physical books. I know I am. Like, I mean, I read a lot anyways, and I prefer physical books when I can get them, but even still, it's like there's just even more sort of motivation now, where, again, like, I've been on my computer all day, I've been on screens all day, and at the end of it, like, I definitely do not want to be reading like a Kindle book right now. I want the physical, just to get away from the computer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I had another question that I thought of while you were talking, I was going to ask you. Do you ever draw digitally? Like, when you talk about your coloring pages and that, do you do those drawings digitally, or do you do them on paper and, like, scan them in?
I am doing them digitally in Illustrator right now. I prefer to do them on paper, but for that medium, I have a drawing tablet that I use that goes directly into the program, which is fantastic.
Which one do you have?
I have a Wacom. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Tablet. I have one of those. It was a gift, and it's been great because I can do lots of things with it. So I do those on Illustrator, and then I just save them and upload those. But I really enjoy drawing. I haven't done an ink drawing in a long time, but that's actually where my artwork started after doing henna. So I started doing henna, and then I started drawing my own designs. And so I realized, I could just draw, some things, and just started with that. And then eventually I started doing colorful stuff like the one behind me. But
yes. Yeah. Now, is the one behind you, that's not the one that's in the magazine, right? That's a different one?
No.
Okay.
This is a different one. This one was the first one of this size that I made, and I love it.
Yes, I love it too. Yeah. It's
this
beautiful.
One is, thank you. It's called the Unity Table. It was intended to be like a table, but it could also be on the wall, either way. And the Unity Table, like on the back of it, I used a wood burner to write a message that says, like, let this be a place for you to bring your loved ones together, your friends, your family, whoever it is, and talk about your happiness, talk about your sorrows, talk about your wins and your losses and those kinds of things. Like, it's meant to be a place, kind of like how you say, like, books take technology away from it. Like, basically a place to unite with your family and friends and loved ones away from looking at your phone, like things like that.
I love that. I love that so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So do you have any others like that are for sale? Is that one for sale? Or are you keeping that one because you love it?
Yes. It is for sale, but if I wind up keeping it, I wouldn't be upset. I I have 3 of this size in my house right now. One of them was a commission and it's downstairs. This one was just, it was the first one I made of this size. I am not artistically trained in the visual arts. I was a musician in college, and so
wow.
I'm learning everything as I go. I know, like, I don't necessarily know the best or most the quickest ways of getting certain things done when it comes to art, so I'm learning. So this one took me a lot longer because I didn't know about like color blocking, even though it makes total sense, or things like that. I just kind of built it as I went. So, and then the other one that I have is the one that is ebullience. It's the one in the magazine.
Cool. And that ebullience is for sale also, right?
Yes. Yes, that one is for sale.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome that you had one as a commission already.
Yes. It was a family friend, and she gave me like a color palette and said, you know, I will be comfortable with whatever. Basically just gave me free, completely artistic license for it. And so I mixed some custom colors for her. She sent me a couple pictures of like the color scheme she wanted. And I can send you a picture of that. It's if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I would love to. That's so cool.
Yeah, and unfortunately I got it done like the day that the day the quarantine took effect. So I have it at home.
Yeah.
She's not in the right to get it, but
is it a local person? Like, can you just drop it off on her porch and, you know, like sanitize it?
Yeah, I've thought about that. She said, "Don't worry, we'll get together sometime."
Get it whenever.
She just
That's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Are you thinking of things as like the pot and the little cups and stuff that you're planning on working on? Are you thinking of those as like things to do and then offer for sale immediately, or are you thinking more along the lines of just kind of like almost stocking up or like creating a stock, and then whenever things sort of go back to normal, you're going to do like a launch of the whole collection? Or have you thought about that at all?
I actually haven't really thought of it like that. I've kind of just been creating and posting as I make them, but that's a kind of a cool idea, especially with some of the other things I'm doing, like the little pots. They're about like 2 inches tall. They're really tiny, but I wanted to put like succulents in them, and I also wanted to have that at my anniversary party to like have little things, like little tiny pieces of art that people could buy at that date. And plus I grow a lot of plants. I love house plants. And so I wanted to propagate them myself, which takes some time. So, but I haven't thought about doing like a collection. But that's a cool idea. I will have to do some brainstorming on that.
Yeah. Are you, what kind of materials are you using on like the little succulent pots, or even that bigger, is it a vase or a pot, that bigger one? Or
I guess
unclear.
Like it's unclear. I don't know if I will put like anything in it or if it will just be a piece on its own. I have no idea.
Like a decorative piece.
So it's kind of funny. Yeah. I found that pice, the big pot that I showed you earlier, at Goodwill. And I was like, I just have to have this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to figure it out.
That is the blessing and curse of Goodwill.
Yes. I have lots of things because of that, including I have like some TV dinner trays from I don't know what decade, but they're old, and I've wanted to do something with them for a while. And I was kind of straightening up this room earlier today, and I found them again. I'm like, oh, maybe now is the time for me to mess with those.
Yeah, you should just do really cool like henna type paintings over the top of them, and then just sell them like TV dinner trays. Everyone's stuck at
I mean,
home. They need TV dinner trays, right?
right, because we're eating at the TV now.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm sure some people are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The little pots, the succulent pots, they were actually a friend of mine gave them to me, and they were like little individually packed desserts from Costco. And so
That's amazing.
she gave them to me. Yeah, she gave them to me after she ate the dessert. So it was just this little pot, and she was like, "Can you do something with this?" And I'm like, "I'll try." So
yeah.
That's what those are, but I use acrylic paint on them, which is probably what I'll do for that other pot too. And then for the succulent pots, I covered it with resin.
Okay.
So it's protected, so the paint doesn't just chip off. So this is going back to your question about what
materials
do I use. So, yeah.
Do
that's it.
Do you do it with like? Do you do some sort of similar setup with the baggies so that it comes out the same way the henna does, or are you using like paintbrushes or more traditional application styles, I guess?
I do both. So a lot of what I do, just hang on. Okay, so this is one of the little pots that I decorated. I don't know if you can really see it.
Yes, I love it.
But to make this, I did put paint in a henna tube. So that's one of the ways I do it. And then another way is I do use, for this one specifically, I did use a paintbrush for a lot of it. And then I did use a cone like this to do like the darker edges and things like that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Like the finer lines probably are they cones? Is that the word?
Yeah.
The tube thingies? Okay.
Yes. We call them cones. You could also call it a tube, but
cone actually makes more sense. It is a cone shape.
Yes. And it's basically just a very small version of a cake decorating bag or a piping bag.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of control, and you can do a lot of intricate detail with that.
Yeah, well, and I've obviously seen you work, and you're very talented with them.
Thank you. I haven't had henna on myself in a couple of weeks, so I need to do that.
Is that weird?
It is weird, yeah. I usually have it at least like on this hand. Yeah.
Have you just not done it because you're not going out at all, or like, is it just a weird coincidence?
I think it's kind of like taking a break from
everything.
Like when the quarantine first started, like I had appointments every other day or so. And then going into the quarantine, I haven't had any of those. So it was kind of just taking a break from that. And I go through phases. I have henna on myself for months at a time, and then I'll take a break for a month. So I think that's just where I am now.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I feel like I do that, or I did before I cut my hair, do that with my colored hair a little bit, where it's like, I will go through a phase where I'm really diligent about like keeping the color in, and then I'll go like for a month or more and just not bother with it, and so the color rinses out and whatever. And then I just cut my hair a couple weeks ago, right before the quarantine hit. I'm
in need of a hair right now.
Yeah. So many people these days, I feel like, are learning how to cut their hair at home.
Yeah.
Which is another weird thing.
There.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, anything else exciting or coming up for you?
Well, coming up, not really right now. Just a lot of work behind the scenes, I guess I'll say. Like a lot of preparation for when things can go back to normal or a new normal. I will, be ready for it. I guess I have. Yeah. And also just been I guess really trying to be a little bit more intentional about what I get myself involved in, like how much energy I can spend on doing events or working at home or doing on-site projects and things like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have a lot of things coming. I just don't have any dates yet.
That is totally
Everything's so
fair. Yeah, everything is totally nebulous.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having on this call. This is obviously another thing that I was not planning quite on doing, but am shifting. Just doing this this part of the podcast. So yeah, thanks for having this conversation with me. This was super great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been awesome to talk to you a little bit today and hear about what you've got going on and how you've been coping with everything in the world right now.
Yes, same. I like I said, super extroverted, so these little connections are definitely helpful and hopefully also can be I don't know, interesting, entertaining, inspiring for other people that are listening. That's my hope anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we sign off, tell everyone where they can find you online.
So I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think that might be it. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as JoHenna Design, and that's JoHennaDesign. And I also have a website, which is JoHennaDesign.com. So luckily I have everything as JoHenna Design, so it should be easy to find. And I do usually have a lot of events going on around Indianapolis. And once we are able to get out and do things again, I will be posting those on all those platforms so that you can find me.
Yes.
So
awesome. Wonderful. Well,
and I also, sorry, one more thing. I have Etsy as JoHenna Design as well. That was the other one. I was like, is there another one?
Yes. That one's a little newer, right? Or no?
Yeah, I would say I haven't historically posted a lot on there, but I'm trying to do more. So that one's a little bit newer.
Yeah. That's kind of on my maybe to-do list also, because
you're supposed to be awesome to have on there.
I've had an Etsy store like forever, but I have almost nothing posted on it. And yeah, it's one of those things where like, I have the time now. Maybe I should actually put that, put like the journals and things on there too. So yeah, we'll see. Alrighty. Well, I will let you go.
Put that on your think about list.
Yes, I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you go. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you. You too. Get outside for a little bit.
Yes,
that later.
I'm going to. That's actually what I am doing next. I'm going to go walk around for like an hour.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Awesome. Well, stay in touch and stay sane and all of that. And stay healthy.
All right. You too. Thanks. You too.
Okay. Bye.